What is up? Welcome to Dre's Geek Philosophy, the February 6th edition. We're here on Monday night, here from the Secret Podcast Studios, right here with executive producer Sam Zia. And we also have the Judgmental Nerd. Yeah, that's your nickname now. You can thank your girlfriend for that. With the Judgmental Nerd, Pete Molini.
How's it going?
We're here on a Monday night. We're here to talk some ridiculousness with you. The big primary topic tonight is obviously going to be, we're talking GameStop. Because, last week Kotaku had their humongous, ridiculously crazy article where they talked about how the circle of life was going to really affect, how the circle of life has really caused a lot of stress to employees. And as a three-time, I've had three tours of duty. Three-time heavyweight champion of the world. I've served three separate times at GameStop. I'm sorry if I'm really up in the face on the Facebook Live thing, because the camera is in a weird spot. I'm going to try to make sure I don't shove my face too far into the camera. But also, we are also broadcasting live on Twitch for the first time today. If you're a Twitch person, you can find the show at Dre GP Podcast, just like the Twitter account. So, we're going to try to get everything set up here.
So, we need to kind of sort of really talk about what happened yesterday. I hate talking about sports on the show. But the Super Bowl is the Super Bowl, and that was pretty epic.
Honestly, I literally only watched the last 5 minutes, and that's only because I got home from a gig that I worked yesterday. I worked a gig to go earn some money. And
that's honestly perfect, because that's all the game that really matters in the last 5 minutes.
This is the first Super Bowl in, I want to say, 15 years that I actually did not care at all, because I have an abhorrent hate of the Patriots, and I could not care about the Atlanta Falcons. But yeah, I didn't want to watch the game. Like I did check in periodically on Twitter while I was at my gig yesterday. But like I saw the Falcons were up 28 to 3, and I was like, oh, okay, cool, good. Evil Empire will not win. Cool. And then I got home, and I see it's a lot closer.
Yeah.
I foolishly turned it on. And personally, I've always been a little superstitious about sports, because because of my abject hatred of the Patriots. Yeah. I felt like anytime I watch and they start succeeding in spite of me, because I'm superstitious that way. So I turn it on and I see them make the comeback, and I'm like, and I think I posted on Facebook. I'm like, well, got home, turned on the TV, and Patriots are about to tie the game. I'm really glad I turned this on. I guess for most people, I guess that was a good thing, because it made the game much more exciting. But for me, I was like, oh no, I hate the Patriots.
Noah on Facebook saying that the Nintendo Switch commercial happened.
Oh, that's true. Yes, the Nintendo. I saw an article today on Kotaku where they were people were attributing blame to the Nintendo, because literally after the Switch commercial aired, I guess you could say the odds for the Falcons switched. And yes, I will find myself later for that terrible pun. I will be fined for making such a bad pun. That's a Noah-worthy pun. Since you're out there watching on the Facebook Live, Noah, yes, I made that bad pun for you. Yeah, it was at that point in the game, it was a 99% chance of according to ESPN and whatever metrics, it was a 99% chance for the Falcons to win. And after that, the Patriots remembered they're the Patriots, and the Falcons remembered, oh my God, we're not that good.
Speaking of Patriots and what happened today, I came in and listened to the Glenn Beck show. I had to, for my work and all that stuff.
Oh, yes.
And he starts his show off by saying, so now we all know that Greg Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. Greg Brady.
The
Brady.
Oh, good job, Glenn Beck. Wow, that is awful.
To show how much he really pays attention.
All these tools, they just don't really pay attention to the real world.
Revisionist history,
alternative facts. Oh my God, that is such an alternative fact. But yeah, the Super Bowl happened. Commercials, happened. This morning I did watch a bunch of the trailers because I missed most. I saw
Guardians.
the new Guardians of the Galaxy trailer. That was so good. I was quite pleased.
Yeah, Dork Boners went on red alert with that.
Oh my God, that Guardians trailer was so great.
Oh, dude, the Stranger Things one.
Yes, Stranger Things. Oh my God, they're dressed as Ghostbusters. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I nerded out so hard. Oh my God, I really nerded out really bad.
I think everybody's waiting for Stranger Things now.
Oh my God.
And I'm sorry, that halftime performance by... Okay, where do you rate the halftime performance?
I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it.
You didn't even see the highlights of it?
No, I have to go at some point and watch it. Go on the tube of you and watch it.
There's a moment early on where it looked like, you know, like the fail videos of where you see a cat trying to jump off of a ledge and they just slip and fail.
Yeah.
Is that Lady Gaga? Was that her entrance? Because I saw a GIF or a GIF depending on how you fall on that side. I saw a GIF where she was like,
yeah, that's how she entered.
Yeah. That's pretty classy.
She jumped off the rafters.
She jumped off the rafters.
She had this weird like Ace Frehley outfit on.
Oh really?
It was just like...
what I kept seeing on Twitter and on Facebook this morning and last night was she looked like Dazzler from the X-Men.
That's what people were saying too. Yeah.
It's like has to do halftime the halftime Super Bowl performance and then go save mutants everywhere.
Yeah.
But there was another trailer. There was a new Logan trailer.
Yeah, there was two Logan trailers.
There was two Logan trailers because it looks like they took the 30-second spot and split it in half because they were pretty short. I saw the trailer, the Fate of the Furious.
Oh.
Family. Insert clever rock catchphrase. Family.
The car crash.
Car crash. And God, I feel like there was another trailer I'm leaving. Oh, Baywatch. The Rock.
Oh, yeah.
The Rock was everywhere. Wow, the People's Champion.
Yeah.
People's Champ was everywhere yesterday. That was pretty awesome, in my opinion. But yes, a superb owl happened yesterday. I saw that online a lot. The superb owl. But
I actually went and brought my little baby to his first Super Bowl party.
Oh, did you? Little JoJo got to go to a Super Bowl party yesterday.
Yeah, 2-week-old JoJo at a party full of people drinking and yelling and stuff.
I'm sure the sensory overload was too much.
No, he was just asleep.
The most relaxed baby of all time.
He is my child. There's no question.
Yeah, there is no question of the fact that is son of Sam.
Now, I as much as I would love to like get him into podcasting, radio, and stuff like that, I think he would just be way too mellow because people just would not connect. He would just be like, yeah, everything's cool.
I mean, literally that first week, that the photo of him with his hands behind his head, he was the baby just chilling, super relaxed with his hands behind his head, relaxed. That was hilarious.
Yeah, but I think you are a fun podcast.
I try to be.
Mainly because I know I can poke you.
You
get you to respond.
You can poke the bear.
And I know that Kotaku article.
Yeah, that you know that
I didn't need to poke the bear.
No, that it already happened. Because the main point of the article was a lot of these customers, or not customers, a lot of the employees they live under this abject fear, and actually it was kind of like this. So let me preface everything. Let me.
What, by the way?
Fear of getting fired. No, it's like fear for your job. You're scared for your employment. You're scared that like, okay, if you don't perform, you have a question, Mr. Pete Molini? You look like you're ready to spring forth with the question. But a lot of these sorry, I saw a funny comment on the Facebook Live. It caused me to freaking like. So. A lot of them are afraid of. So I've worked 3 separate times with GameStop. When I was a young person in 2000 and 2001, I worked at GameStop in the Montebello Mall for my good friend, who became my good friend. He was my first manager, Rolando Morales. I know you're watching right now, bro. How you doing? And I was there as a seasonal employee, and actually that employment ended with the district manager forcing me to quit.
Oh, really?
He scared to 21, 22-year-old Dre into quitting the job. Yeah, that's another story for another day. That's another story for another day. I quit. I went to go help another store out, and my performance, apparently I did a lot of things that were not appropriate, apparently.
Oh, okay.
It's like, apparently having my girlfriend deliver me food because the manager ditched me and I couldn't take a lunch was a bad thing, apparently. Yeah. And there was a number of other things. I was forced to quit the job then. My manager then was pretty annoyed. He's like, "What the hell? Why did the district manager get rid of me?" And then, so fast forward 2 years later, 2003, I wound up going back. My old manager, I was looking to find a new job. I was working at Fry's. I go back to GameStop for the second time, and I was an assistant manager for a little while, and then I became a store manager. And that was, and I used to think that was the worst era of GameStop, because at that point, it was, you had to fight for your job. You had to scratch and claw to trick people into pre-ordering games. You had to get people to subscribe to the magazine and get the discount card. We had to sell. And then I had eventually left that job to go work for Nintendo. But, you know, my life has spiraled around back and forth these last few years. And this past summer, after my unemployment ran out, I relented. I reached out to a district manager I knew, and I got a job at GameStop. Again. I worked from August through November. I worked as an assistant manager for GameStop this past summer, and it was funny. Like, the reason I went back. So this is all going to lead back into the article. You're following me here. This is a story. So I wound up going back. I did an interview with this district manager who I had met through LinkedIn, and he had sold me on this new GameStop because you know, GameStop had always been very much all about scare all the employees into working harder, get all the stuff, get all the numbers, get everything. But so they're trying to fight this negative stigma by, you know, I guess from 2013 or like 2014 to last summer, they had been very anti doing that. No, we are not going to be super aggressive. We're not going to do all this stuff. And so he sold me on this. I'm like, okay, cool. I have a good customer service background. I talked to him. And as he was selling me on this, I'm like, okay, cool. Things have changed here. Yeah. It's not the, you know, super hyper aggressive by any means necessary. You know, get in there and sell everything. And I was like, okay, cool. I can live with this. And so. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to watch I'm trying not to react to Facebook comments. I'm trying to keep this in mind. We're recording for multiple mediums now. We're on Twitch. We're recording this for audio. Yeah, unfortunately, it's if you want to, you can share it. I believe it's shareable. See, that's actually God, no. I'm not going to go on a tangent. So he sold me on this new GameStop. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to join this new GameStop. Yeah. Let's see what this is like. And literally within 2 weeks after I joined. And this brings us to the article. Within 2 weeks, they brought back the Circle of Life, which is something which was around back when I worked in 2003 to 2005. They brought back because from what I gathered, you know, profits were down. Because they weren't as aggressive with the pre-orders, and there were profit shortfalls on all the on all categories. So now, we needed more. Like I hear the district manager on the conference call, like, we need more accountability. We need to make sure we need to start setting goals, and people have to reach these goals. And if they don't reach these goals, then they can't work here anymore.
Wow.
Okay, I'm gaining some direction. Yeah. Here, and I was like, getting a little direction from executive producer Sam Zia.
By the way, we have Jai on the line.
We have Jai on the line, and
now, to hear him, you'll have to turn off your mic so you can hear him on the speakers.
Oh, okay.
You can also go onto the phone.
Oh, okay. So we have Jai on the mic. We have it's been a little bit of fun here behind the scenes here. So we do have my old assistant manager for my second tour duty, Jai Potter, on the phone. I can't hear him right now. Oh.
Hi, everybody.
And there he is. There's Jai T. Potter. We'll go to you when we can. We have him on the phone. But let me continue. Let me continue on where I was going. Yeah. So now there's this new way where now it's like you have to sell. It was like when I got in, it was like don't worry about your numbers. The numbers are not that important. You know, get 6% reservations. Get maybe like 8 or 9% of subscriptions, and then you'll be fine. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it was like, no, you have to have 10% you have to have 15% reservations. You have to have 15% subscriptions. And if you don't get these numbers, it's like all of a sudden like, there's this whole circle, like the stuff that you read in the article. And it literally got re-implemented. But at the same time, so I was like, oh crap, my numbers. But then the district manager was telling me, Dre, don't worry about your numbers. You're just get back into the flow of things. Yeah. You'll be fine. But what I discovered is that literally that same week, another store manager, he quit. just like straight up. Like,
Oh, wow.
I guess he knew what the score. He knew the score.
Yeah.
He knew that that this was going to be.
Toughened.
He knew it was not going to be good, so he immediately left, and they slowly started to try to get rid of people. And so I started noticing that the successful managers were the ones. I mean, I hate to say it. I mean, I don't think any of them are ever going to listen to this podcast or see this, but they're sociopaths.
They have no soul.
I mean, I don't want to say they have no soul, but they're able to.
I'll say it.
Yeah.
Executive producer Sam Zimmer will say they have no soul, but these successful managers. I mean, frankly, the manager who was training me, she was cutthroat, man.
Yeah.
She had no mercy. Like, even though like the attitude of the company had been like toned down, she didn't step back. Like, her store was number one, but like the way I saw she treated her associates, it was this super high level, this crazy accountability. Whereas like she'd be asking, why didn't you get your numbers? Why didn't you get more pre-orders? Why didn't you get more used? What did you do wrong? What was I was like, whoa! It was intense. It was like I felt like Job from Arrested Development. Like, I was saying, like, I've made a huge mistake. Literally, within the third week, I was like, oh my God, this is bad. This is really bad. And like it was nuts. And because I knew my shelf life, because of who I am, I knew my shelf life returning to GameStop. I knew I was going to have like 6 to 9 months before they discovered that I'm a good person and they were going to get rid of me.
Okay, now explain to me what the emphasis on pre-orders are. Because, I mean, I've never worked for GameStop, but I have a guy who does pre-order games, and I want to know what the incentive behind it, A, is, and what's the harm of it to the consumer.
Okay, well, pre-orders, all right. So essentially, you're prepaying for your game. Like, from the corporate side, this helps GameStop determine demand for a game. This helps them, place orders. As a comic book, comic shop owner, you kind of want to know what you need to order.
Yeah.
But the shady side of this is a lot of times there's this pressure for the companies. Oh, we need to get lots of pre-orders. So sometimes they incentivize customers. Like, oh, you'll get a free poster. You'll get this. It's kind of just to try to entice them. But realistically, pre-ordering games helps GameStop in that they get your money already. They can stick it. They can stick it into the into the bank account, and they can make money off your interest already.
Yeah.
If they take in however many pre-order, a few 100,000 pre-orders, you multiply that by $5 the minimum. That's how much money is going into their bank accounts, and they're making.
Not the interest off that, but to the consumer, they're not paying the interest.
They're not paying the interest.
They're just paying the usual.
No, they're not paying the interest. No, they're not paying the interest. Like, so it's not really hurting the consumer.
But it's a good way to pad the pocket.
It's a good way for them to pad their pockets. But on some small level, I remember my old boss from 2005. Lots of people pre-order games and forget.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
There is a couple $1 million made every year just on people.
So what's the policy on that? Like, do they just? Like...
They kind of hang. Well, see, back in the old days, it was all on paper. There was no computer system that kept everything in track. You had to have the receipt.
Oh, wow.
And here was the crazy part. Like, back then, all those receipts, we hung on to them, and we had to we had them in a little, like, I'd like to say we had them in a safe, but they were just in a little plastic container. What was worse, like, right when I left the company in 2005, it was when the 360 was coming out, and people were fully paying off. They're putting down $400 on these Xboxes, and all this, money is just being stored in a baseball card folder.
Really?
Wow.
And if one of those receipts disappeared, your money's gone.
Yeah.
You'd have to contact the home office. Well, back then, and then they're employees, and sometimes there would be unscrupulous employees who would just take them and try to go and take them to other stores and cash them out.
Wow.
See, me having a conscience, I used to get people in trouble. Like, people would try to bring me stolen credits back in the day, and I would keep them, and I'd like call loss prevention. I'd call the people who were in charge of policing this stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, such and such girl from the Pasadena store brought me this stolen credit. You probably want to go fire her right now. And then I remember that actually caused me a lot of I guess the wrestling term would be heat. A lot of people did not like me. Yeah. A lot of people did not like me because I had a conscience and I wanted people to do things the right way, which is why obviously I did not fit in the GameStop system. I am not a person who fits into the circle of life. For the Facebook Live people, there were several people who were stealing credits and who I got fired.
So that's the reason why,
They-
like, as a manager and employee, there's a huge motivation for you to get those pre-orders.
Yeah.
And that sucks because it's not up to you if you get the pre-orders.
Yeah, no, it's up to the consumer. The consumer has to want to if a consumer is excited about the game, yes, get their money, have them guarantee. Like, see, my big thing when I worked there, my thing was always more about getting pre-orders on the small games, like the smaller games that the store would not normally get.
Yeah.
Like for me, like back it was like the old Japanese RPGs on PS2, like, you know, because my era that era was PS2, Xbox, GameCube. All the smaller titles that maybe we'll only get 1 or 2 copies. Like, hey, you should pre-order this. I want to make sure you get your copy. But for like a Madden or a Grand Theft Auto, it's like people were going to come in like those like. But that's where GameStop gets most of their pre-orders because this past fall when I was working there, my store had 400 pre-orders for Call of Duty. But you know what? Here's the crazy part. Something else crazy about the whole pre-order system. A lot of times people will pre-order a game a year in advance, and then nowadays they give their cell phone numbers, and their number changes. They'll change their number, and so like there's a point in time where like they had me go in the back room. I had the giant computerized list, but I'm calling these numbers, and half of them were disconnected. These people have like $20 down. Oh,
and they magically or they have different numbers.
They have a different number, and I can't reach them.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Or some of these people, if they have a GameStop account, then they'll probably get an email letting them know. Yeah. But a lot of these people, like maybe they don't want an account, so there's all this money just sitting there. So, but GameStop does put all this pressure because it's a publicly held company. As my friend Rolando can probably attest, before GameStop was a publicly held company, there was a lot less pressure on this whole numbers because these numbers are a metric to show success. Yeah. And so they always have to constantly we need to do better than last year. So that's why there's this huge pressure to get more pre-orders, get more subscriptions, sell, and then the used thing. So one of the biggest points of the article was that stores would lie about their stock. Like, because let's say this happened a couple times when I was working there this past summer where Grand Theft Auto 5, brand new, would drop down to $30. And instead of lowering the used price would stay at $55.
Okay.
Because it was always
So you could get the new one for much cheaper.
Yeah. You can get the new one for much cheaper. You can get the new one for $30, or the pre-owned one for $55. Because GameStop, because back in the old days, back when me and Rolando and Jai, whenever there was a price drop like that, GameStop would lower the used price.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Apparently, not anymore. Because that happened to me I remember my first week. Like I see someone in line because they tell actively, because one of the strategies, like if you see someone in line with a brand new game, go grab a used copy of the game, show them how it's in good condition, and show them how it's going to be cheaper. Because the big thing at that point, they're like, there's a 10% guarantee. We had to mention it to every customer, and if you didn't mention it to every customer, you'd get a write up.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one of the things. Like, so, like every time I walked up to somebody, like that was a strategy. Right when I started, it's like every person I'd hi, do you know about our 10% guarantee? Like, your used games are always guaranteed to be 10% less than the brand new ones. So I saw someone in line with a copy of The Division. I'm like, okay. I immediately grabbed a used copy of The Division. I was going to show them, you're just paying for cellophane and you're going to save some money. Yeah. And it comes up, and then I scan it. I scan the new one, and it's $29.99. Used ones, friggin' $45 or $50. I'm like, oh crap! And I turn to my manager. I'm like, hey, what am I supposed to do with this? It's supposed to be guaranteed to be 10% less. Yeah. What the hell happened to this 10% less guarantee? And she's like, you got just to apologize to the customer and tell them that it's cheaper new. Okay. And I'm like, okay, no problem. And I sold them the new one. But in the article, it shows that there were stores who would lie and say, I'm sorry, I don't have that game brand new right now. I only have it used. And they push the used one. They either push the used one, or as you saw in some of the examples in that show, or in the article, they would tell people to go to another store. They tell them to leave.
Yeah, they wouldn't even sell them the game at all.
They wouldn't sell them the game.
Yeah, that's just...
Yeah, that's cruel, because a person's looking for a game, they're looking for a deal. I can get Grand Theft Auto 5 for $30? Hell yeah. And off they go, sending them off to somewhere else. What's going on?
We got Jai on the phone.
Yeah, we have. I know we have Jai on the phone, but
I don't want him to get lonely because
I know. I'm sure he wants to chime in, but this is Dre's Geek Philosophy, and I have a lot of thoughts and feelings about this.
Okay, then Jai, you're going back into the cage.
Yeah. So let's bring Jai on. We'll bring Jai on, and let's see.
All right. Well, here we're gonna have to hit the buttons off and on. So hey, Jai, how's it going?
I'm doing good, guys. How are you guys doing today?
Doing well. So, what was your reaction to the Kotaku article?
I first read it, I immediately thought back to my time there, and the Circle of Life was there too. I mean, it wasn't as enforced, and the consequences weren't as dire as they are now, but they were still definitely there. It wasn't like, well, if for whatever reason your store just had a bad month for whatever reason, and that Lord knows that happened several times. When you had a bad month getting resos, or you had a bad month getting subs, or whatever, or your used was bad. Especially when a new game came out, or God forbid a new system came out, it wasn't. The district managers never came down on you as hard as they appear to be doing now. And of course, this article isn't the only article that has been out regarding GameStop's practices in the last, how many years has it been? But I think back to, like I said, I think back to when I was there, and we jumped through a lot of hoops to get people to reserve a game.
Yep.
I won't mention any names, but there were managers and employees who would go out of their way to, who would go out of their way to make reservations for games that they had no intention of buying using pseudonyms. You know what? I'll throw a couple people under the bus. I did it numerous times for games that I had no intention of buying. But you want to keep the numbers up because you want to keep the district managers happy. Mm-hmm. Of course, there was also the competitive side to it. I know during my time there, my store manager was hyper competitive. And he always wanted to be number one. He was a good person. He was one of the few good managers that I've had in all of my years of working. So you want a good manager will make you want to work harder, make you want to be a better employee. But that still doesn't take away from the fact that if a customer doesn't want to reserve a game, if a customer doesn't want to buy used, if a customer doesn't want to get a subscription, they're not going to. And no amount of convincing can do that.
Yeah, it's always, yeah. While I was on this most recent tour of duty, they were, oh my God, they tried to train you into like not accepting no. It was literally, because now they have this crazy online training that you have to do. And it's like you have to continually pivot. It was a big thing. You had to continually pivot. It's like if someone tells you no, you have to work as hard as you can to turn that no into a yes. You have to massage them, convince them. You have to show them the value. And I'm like, oh my God, this is like insane used car salesman. And like it's even more intense than it was in the old days when it was perceived as really negative and it's gotten so insane. And actually, you just reminded me, Jai, of the used sales. Like, so obviously used sales is such a big thing to GameStop. And when Jai and I were working together back in the old Rosemead GameStop, the PlayStation Vita had just come out. And for whatever reason, my little dinky store in Rosemead, we were selling a shitload of those things. My God, like I remember, like later on, my district manager showed me a chart where like we were like in the top 10 in the company selling the Vitas. So naturally, I'm selling all this brand new product, but my used percentage, like, so you had to be, like in the article it shows you have to be at a certain percentage of your used. My used percentage dropped to like 9%. 9% of my sales were used because of all this brand new. And my district manager's like, what the hell's going on? Why are you so low? You have to be at 25%. And I'm like, what do you want me to do? Insert name here of boss. Yeah. You want me to stop selling Vitas? And he's like, in not so many words, maybe. Wow. So even so.
It's because they make more money on the used?
Yeah. The margin is so much higher. Yeah. It's so much higher on the used. Mm-hmm. It's like for you, if you buy a comic back, if someone sells you some old comics and you buy them for like a nickel each and you put them on the rack for $1, you're making 95 cents or, crazy percent profit. Yeah. The used things, that's how that happens. So my district manager told me, like, maybe you only sell a couple Vitas a day. And like I was selling like 10 or 11 Vitas a day. Apparently, all the people in the city of Rosemead wanted Vitas. So I was like, okay, fine. I'm like, I don't want to get fired because he was kind of intimating that, and I had bills. So I was like, okay, we only sold maybe after we sold maybe 2 or 3. We wouldn't deny the first couple of people, but after we sold 3, we were kind of quote unquote done for the day. And there'd be a few other people throughout the day. Like, oh, do you have any Vitas? I'm sorry, we'll have some tomorrow morning. I did not feel good. Trust me.
Yeah.
And it was awful. I did not like that. But ironically, within a few weeks, that district manager, well, he kind of went away.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
It's thankful that he went away, but you're also, it seems like you've got too much of a kind-hearted conscience to be in this kind of industry.
That's essentially the problem with me. That's why that was going to be I wasn't going to say I was the problem, not GameStop. I mean, GameStop, they're a very capitalist company. They're trying to run a business. When I'm working there, I'm like, all right, I'm going to serve their interests because they're paying my checks. I recognize that I was a problem. And, this past, what do you call it? This past time I worked, my last tour of duty, within a month, so like 3 weeks after I get placed in the store, the store manager, the guy who was managing me, tells me, oh, if your performance doesn't come up, we're going to let you go by the end of your probation period. I remember, and that was literally, I think it was on my birthday when he told me that.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
Yeah.
We're gonna fight.
Happy birthday. If you don't get better and start towing the company line, you're going to get fired before your probation is up, because I was like the 90-day probation. Like they used that as a threat to see if I would improve.
Yeah.
And so, of course, I tried to improve. It's funny because they tried to coach me up in their ways of selling.
Yeah.
Like the store manager told me that I had too much energy.
How can you have too much energy for retail?
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me make it a little racial for it. So I was working in Linwood, California. Linwood. Represent. I had all the Mexican Americans coming north from Southgate. I had all the African Americans coming up from Compton. Yeah. And in so many words, my store manager, he didn't say it outright, but I was too white for that store. Like, you don't fit in at this store. Because I speak with clear diction, and I wasn't hood enough.
Complete a sentence.
I was not hood enough to work in Linwood, apparently. He didn't say it in so many words, but he kept intimating it. That he's like, oh, if you were in Orange County, I think you'd be a lot more successful.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Okay, time out.
He said, that was a quote.
I just want to know what ethnicity this guy was coming from.
He's Hispanic.
And wow. That's...
So he could get hood. Apparently, I couldn't get hood. I watched him operate sometimes, and he was trying to be all smooth and shit. It was funny. I actually, me being me, was actually working at some point, so they wanted me to not be me. So I had to turn down I was too up. People did not want I learned something from, apparently I was up talking. I would up talking, that's great for selling reservations, but you can't up talk everybody here. You have to down talk.
Hey,
and I was like, what is this up talk and down talk you're talking about, dog?
Your life sucks. You really want this.
It's like, he wanted me to be more hood, and I'm like, bro, I'm the world's whitest Mexican. I mean...
Just wear a bandana or something.
Apparently I need to wear a bandana, get a teardrop tattoo or something. Show up wearing Uggs or FUBU or something. Apparently, I don't want to outright accuse him of racism, but
have your name tag say Dre, aka Spider.
Yeah, right, or something. And so I started doing the things he wanted me to do. I stopped being high energy. I just talked to people in a robotic, monotone tone. And you know what? My numbers actually got worse. Oh. There was a point where I was at 0% for selling subscriptions. I could not sell. Yeah. I could not sell this subscription, the discount in the magazines, and I could not sell one to save my life for the entire week. And he's like, "What's wrong? What's going on?" I'm like, "I'm doing what you're telling me to do." Yeah. I'm slowly explaining all the features, and I am not succeeding at all. Mm-hmm. So, and I was putting a lot more pressure on myself because I'm like, oh, I'm going to get fired if I don't increase my numbers. Bringing it back to the article, I know exactly what they were feeling because they had straight up threatened my job. I'm out there. But the thing is, my problem was I was trying to do it the right way or trying to do it their way without trying to con people, without trying to cheat. And back in the old days, I remember the reason I ended up getting promoted to store manager back in 2003 was they fired 6 managers for cheating outright. They were getting over on immigrants and people who didn't speak English by sneaking in the subscriptions into their transactions. If they bought $100 worth of used, they would just because it was a 10% discount.
Yeah.
So back then the subscription was $10. So you bought $100 worth of used. Guess what? You just got a free subscription to our Game Informer. Oh. They wouldn't notice the difference.
Yeah.
because it'd still be the same price, but they got the subscription. Or even other times, some people wouldn't notice that, like, oh, they buy a $45 used game, and then, oh, wait, it still was 50 something because, oh, they snuck in the subscription. It went down $5, but it also still went back up $5. Like, oh, wait a minute. It was like they were sneaking it past people until, thankfully, some enterprising immigrant probably noticed, like, what the hell is this $10 charge? Yeah. And they started going through, like, all these stores, like, where my store, we were getting, like, 10 subscriptions a week because we were trying to do it honestly. These other stores in Huntington Park or whatever, or like Slauson, like, whatever, and they were getting 112 subscriptions because they were freaking... They were sneaking it in.
Okay, so... This Kotaku article, at the end of the day, what impact does it have on A, the consumer, and B, on employees?
Okay, the article, as Jai was saying, there have been articles, but I feel like this is the first real article that's gained like real mainstream traction where it's spread and it's everywhere. And as we found out on the day after the article, it actually forced a response from GameStop.
Yeah, that memo went out.
Yeah, they sent out a memo. And telling people, this is not the company way, this is just a few rogue employees. And I'm like, it's not a few rogue employees. I mean, obviously the problem is within the middle management, within the store managers and the district managers. Like some of them are, like I said, it's these kind of sociopaths who or either they're hyper competitive or hyper scared of losing their jobs. They want to prove that they're the best, and so they manipulate, cajole, scare their people into these situations where they either have to cheat to freaking get their numbers, or they're scared, like they fear for their jobs.
So it's the pressure coming from the top that's causing a lot of the corruption down low.
Yeah, it's causing the corruption happens in the middle management because the top level, I'm sure they know that kind of stuff happens, but they kind of they turn a blind eye to it. And so the middle managers, the district managers, the regional managers, that's where the problem truly lies, because then they're competitive among themselves. They're trying to prove that they're better than the others to try to move up. And so they stab each other in the front, not even stab each other in the back. They stab each other in the front. And so they get to their employees like, this district manager that I worked for this last time, he, like, every day, everything was like you could have played a drinking game with all the buzzwords he would use. Yeah. It's like, I need laser focus. There was a laser focus on everything. Oh, we need laser focus on pre-orders. We need laser focus on pre-owned right now. They're selling cell phones now. It's like every store has to sell at least get one Cricket activation. Like,
now, is the pressure from up top increasing because of the fact that solid disc media games are going out of the window?
Honestly, no. I mean,
are they upping the pressure on the district managers to produce more?
I think because overall, but it's the overall negative perception of the company. It's like it's this a weird vicious cycle that they're going through where they're becoming less and less relevant as people. As people are going to, it's not losing physical media because there's still a significant portion of people who won't download a game. Yeah, there's still definitely enough people who will buy physical media. I'm an older person. I still buy physical media. I'm uncomfortable downloading a game out of fear. It's like, okay, if the hard drive gets wiped or whatever, I'm sure there's backups or whatever. Oh, they keep track of your purchases. But I'm still more comfortable with buying physical media. I like, quote unquote, I'm quote unquote owning my media.
Yeah. And people are making an equation between Wells Fargo and GameStop.
Yeah, Wells Fargo and GameStop. Yeah, it's very similar to that. Where there's this pressure because they have these expectations. They have to adhere to the stockholders. So yeah, they had a bad year last year. I remember they were way behind in their projection for pre-owned last year. So last year they were very aggressively doing buy two get one frees. They were doing all this stuff where they're trying to push people to buy more used, and they had this humongous shortfall of their expectations. And that's where they're starting to put even more pressure on people. Like they set these crazy expectations, and it's put upon the district managers. Oh, you guys need to go do this, or else you're in trouble. And so that pressure comes down tenfold onto these store managers, and then they dump it onto their part-time employees who are barely there. All of a sudden, every time they come in for their 4-hour shift, you have to be at 20% on everything, or else you're not going to have your crappy job. Yeah. And that's why you see all the other follow-up article that came up where all these people came up and contacted Kotaku and told them, like, oh yeah, it is like this. Don't try that memo where it's like, oh, it's only almost feel like it's the alt-right, like, no, it's only a small fraction of people. Like, no,
alternative facts.
Alternative facts. It's this it's only a small margin percentage. People are like, no, it's all over the place. I mean, I don't think it's everywhere because there's definitely, I'm sure there's parts of the country where it's not like that, where there's less pressure. I feel like, LA has always had this like stigma. I mean, as far as GameStop goes, and the 3 times I worked there, LA's always had this stigma where like they're always on the lower end of the profitability because out here, the cost of running the stores is much higher than somewhere else, like in your Podunk, Idaho, or freaking Montana or whatever. It's a lot less,
Do you think it affects it that there's so many GameStops?
Yeah, especially after that merger. Yeah, they doubled their foothold. Because in 2005 they went from 2,000 stores to almost 5,000 stores, merging with EB, and then you've seen kind of like this course correction over the last as I was a Nintendo rep, I saw the number of GameStops dwindling as the leases were coming up. It was logically they were freaking. They get rid of the store. Like, all right, this store is not profitable. Like, yeah, that was a big difference. That was one of the major differences between when I worked in 2005 to this time around. They were a lot more upfront about the actually a lot of the numbers. Like they would show you the metric of how profitable you were each day that you worked. They showed you all like you made the store X amount of money today. Like you could see it in a quantable statistic on the computer. You could look up your stats and you're like, oh, because depending on how much new, used, pre-owned, they have all the Think Geek stuff now, all that stuff. They make a decent, they actually make pretty decent margin on that stuff. I'm sure because you saw a lot of similar stuff in your store. They show you your profitability, which is something they didn't show us back in the day. I remember one time my district manager, he brought me a sheet where it actually showed me all my stores, strengths and weaknesses. I'm like, why don't you show this to us now? And it was funny, they show, and that's funny. That was something during that interview when I went back. That was something that actually made me feel better about going back. I'm like, oh, they're upfront about everything now. They show you where you're doing good and where you're doing bad.
But how stressful is that though?
It was awful, man.
Because they showed you.
Yeah, and it's funny because I kept pointing out. I remember I point out to my bosses. I'm like, I'm actually pretty damn profitable. I'm like, yeah, I look at my stats. I'm like, hey, I'm more profitable than everyone else in the store. But when we got to that 90 day. When we got to the 90 days, they let me go because I did not fit into their culture. I was too nice.
You weren't profitable the way they wanted you to be profitable.
Yeah, I was not. Yeah, I was not profitable getting all the subscription. And here's the funny part. It's the last 2 weeks, I was kind of resigned. Like, okay, they're gonna let me go. So I stopped doing all their advice, and I just started being myself again.
Yeah.
And guess whose numbers actually went up? Where I actually talked to customers genuinely. I cared about their concerns. Yeah. Oh, look at that. I give people good customer service. And then my store manager's like, hey, how'd you get it to 20% subscriptions today? I'm like, because I talk to people like a human being instead of a robot.
Yeah.
Yeah. You weren't trying to push the company bullshit. You were trying to actually look after their best interest, what they wanted.
Yeah. Well, no, honestly, I was looking. I was looking after the customer's best interest. Yeah, to be honest, I was looking out for the customer those last couple of weeks, and then my numbers went through the roof. All of a sudden, look at all the. I hit all the Circle of Life numbers. I was at 75% the Circle of Life score. But I go in the weekend after Call of Duty. They brought me into the back office, and it was funny as they were letting me go. As he started, he hadn't even said it yet. I was already taking off my badge, took the store keys out. I was like, I'm not a child. I'm 37 years old. I know what this conversation is. Yeah. I'm like, give me my final check. Good. I'm leaving. Thanks. I wish you had done this a week ago before Call of Duty had come out.
Of course, they needed to get.
They needed me there for Call of Duty. Yeah. They needed me there to to help all the customers and make sure everybody left happy. And after that, kick me to the curb.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of the industry, and they know that they could get. And here's the thing: they know that they can get somebody who's brand spanking new, 21 years old, eager as hell, and as easily manipulated as it can get.
Yeah, no.
To fill your spot.
And see, that's the problem. I felt that I was too old. Where I'm 30. I ask too many questions. I express my opinion too many times. Where they want people who will listen to their commands no matter what, and do all their stuff no matter what they say. I mean, I attribute that. That's why I can't find a job right now because I have too much free independent thought, which is why we're doing this thing here. Because I answer to me doing this. I'm not making any money doing this, but hey, I have a lot more freedom doing this. But yeah, I can't find a normal job because of this. And it's more. This is more symbolic of an overall problem with the world right now.
Yeah.
I mean, people keep saying GameStop bad, GameStop bad. I'm like, no, it's like this is how the economy runs right now. I don't want to turn this into K-Talk, in the K-Talk 5-7 or what's the station? KFI. I don't want to turn this into KFI, but it's emblematic of like this whole I don't fit in the corporate structure because I actually want to help people, and that's a problem.
So what's the best way, aside from this podcast, to make it so that the people, because I'm looking on the stream that we have on Facebook and the comments, it seems like a lot of people were the victim of the same problem, that they were too nice for that level.
Yeah. No, you see, a couple of those guys were my bosses, and they got out because they saw the writing on the wall. Even back in like 2005, they saw that's.
So what's the alternative for guys like you, girls like you that have gone through this kind of experience with a company like that, and you're now trying to find a way to continue on at this point?
If I had that answer, I wouldn't be here right now.
That's true.
I don't know what the answer is. I mean, that they have found jobs in other industries that are not customer service based.
Funny. Sean Horbunkel says Conway and Cervantes. The funny thing is, Conway is 20 feet away from where we're sitting.
Yeah, actually,
right now.
Conway's next door in the next studio right now, Mr. Hornbuckle. But that's the crazy thing. That's just this last stop through GameStop. That's why, like I said earlier, I knew I was not going to last in this. This was literally a Band-Aid. Like I saw this as extended unemployment, where I was going to have to suffer for 40 hours to get. I basically made the same amount of money I made on unemployment working for GameStop as an assistant manager. Like, wrap your head around that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how much I was making. Yeah, that district manager promised me a certain wage and then paid me less.
And I get the feeling there's a lot of people that went through the same thing.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it's a shame that, and I get part of it is because of the digital market, and part of it is just because this is how
it's more GameStop. No, it's more GameStop. Like there are GameStop's biggest problem is not digital games. That's not their biggest problem. Their biggest problem is that there are better options out there. Like some people have mentioned on the comments, like Amazon Prime. You get 20% off, and you get it the day it shows up to your house. You don't have to leave your house to get it. Yeah, there are better options out there. You don't have to get talked down to by some smart ass gamer. I mean, on the line here, I mean, Mr. Jai Polidor here. I'm sure he can attest to a lot of times where we talked down to a lot of gamers back when in our misspent youth, being rude to people. What was that?
I can neither confirm nor deny that allegation. I am a pinnacle of customer service. Yep.
You know what? If you won't throw yourself under the bus, then maybe I'll throw you under the bus, and I'll throw myself under the bus a few times. Yeah, because there's times where, like, because obviously this was back then. This was before the era of customer service surveys and like. Yeah. So my God, when I was store manager, I had free reign, and like that was my domain.
Yeah.
If some customer was going to cause me a problem, I took care of it right there on the spot. Probably in a fashion that was probably not very kind. But see me, I always respond with what I am given. If someone is rude to me, then I am a reflection of what they got. See, maybe I shouldn't tell these full stories, but
this is like,
considering how much time we have left, I probably shouldn't get into some 10-minute story about Jai Polidor cussing out a customer.
No, we gotta do this. You just lit the fuse.
No, I can't. I can't. I have to protect the guilty. There was a guy who brought us it was literally a melted Xbox AC adapter. I was on my lunch, and Mr. Jai T. Polidor. No, you're not telling the story, Jai. No, you're not. And he brought this melted AC adapter with a receipt. They still use those same thermal receipts. Like if you leave it out in the sun, it gets all black and blotted out. You can tell it was a GameStop receipt. So he brings it up, and Jai's trying to deal with him. And Jai, to his credit, was actually trying to help the customer. But, he tried looking it up. We looked up in the computer. We hadn't sold any Xbox AC adapters, so he didn't buy it from our store.
Yeah.
And so he gets belligerent with Jai. And Jai, of course, a much more extreme version of me, he starts cussing the dude out. And I had come back from lunch, and I was like watching what was happening. And I see Jai like, listen here, motherfucker. You're going to take your piece of shit, and you see that, and get the fuck out. I mean, so I come in running, like if this was WWE, if like my music would play, and I'd be coming and running to the ring. If you smell, it's like, no, Jai Powder, no, do not cuss out a customer in the store. Not knowing what was happening. So I take over. Yeah. I'm like, excuse me, sir. Let me see what's going on here. I look at the situation. I'm like, I get abreast of what the situation is. Okay, yeah. Melted AC adapter, receipt that cannot be read. I do the exact same searches that Jai had already done. I already knew that it was going to be pointless, but I wanted to show the customer, like, look, I'm doing the searches. So, nope, you did not buy this here. He's like, no, I bought it from a guy with glasses. I'm like, well, there's only one person at this store who has glasses, and that's me. And did you buy it from me? Nah. Then you didn't buy it from here. So I think we're done here. You can go now. It's like, no, we're done here. And I turned to my associate who was working. I'm like, Jenny, you can ignore this, because we had a line of customers. Yeah. But you can ignore this guy. You know what? This guy isn't here. And I made a motion as if I put up a wall. I'm like, he is not here right now. You're going to ignore him. I'm like, get out. We're done with you. You can leave. Please help the next customer. And he just stands there, and he's like, what the fuck? Oh, I'm like, I'm sorry. Is there some sort of noise coming from this direction? No. You're done. No. Bye. Bye. I was Curly Bill from Tombstone. Bye. And he was just like standing there. He was pissed. And I will not do the full colorful language. Like, so I know Jai is probably sitting there fuming. He wants me to say the line.
No, say the line.
All right, fine. So he's leaving. He's like, fuck you and fuck your N-word too.
Oh, wow.
And of course, Jai turns to me and is like, in the day of the Chappelle show, the best he can come up with is N-word?
He actually said N-word.
Oh, he said the full word.
Oh, he said the full word. Okay.
He went full Monty.
Okay, I just want to make sure he censor himself while being that.
No. I'm censoring myself right now because it'd be untoward for me to yell it out. Yell it out here. So like he
actually in this station.
Oh yeah, on the station, the studio that we're in. And it was really great because so I turn to the customers because it was a Saturday, so the store was full of customers. And I flip the switch and I go back to corporate Dre. And I'm like, I'm sorry, everyone. Sorry about that. You know, I apologize for my behavior and my assistant's behavior. I apologize for that customer. And then there's a little kid, and he goes, it's okay. And you just feel all the tension in the store just disappear. And everyone's like, oh. And then we resumed our normal business.
And Merry Christmas to everyone.
And Merry Christmas to everyone. So did I do the story justice, Jai?
Jai, you there?
Did we lose him?
I think we lost him.
Passed
out.
No. I see him reacting on Facebook Live, but he wanted to tell the story, but I felt, and I think he's on Facebook watching it now. But
And then Yoshi brought him ice cream?
No, there was an employee whose name was Yoshi.
Okay, I thought.
Not the dinosaur from the Super Mario series, but.
That would make the story way more interesting at the end there.
Yeah. Here, Jai's still on the phone. All right, let's go to the phone. Jai's still there.
Jai.
I'm still here.
Did I do the story justice?
You did the story justice. If you want the unabridged version, I will do it. But
no,
you did the story justice.
I'm not having you tell the story again. I just told the story.
I know, but I like my version.
And that's why I told the story instead of you. Is that Gianna trying to participate in the podcast?
That's her trying to tell me what she wants to eat. But, at the same time, she wants to eat, but she doesn't want to eat. Okay, well, then I will get you your other one chicken.
All right.
And then I'm going to walk away with the chicken, and then she's going to say that she wants chicken. And I'm going to bring her the chicken back, and then she's going to say that she doesn't want chicken. So for those of you who already have kids, fuck you, it's too late. But
Thanks, John.
Jesus Christ.
And I just had a kid. Thanks.
Yeah. See, I would have preferred him here so I could control him a little easier. Although being able to cut him off at the drop of a hat probably is a little bit easier to control Mr. JT Polidor. He'll be back on the show at some point where he'll be able to contribute more. But we'll get him in here. We'll get him in the studio one of these days. But obviously, I had a lot of thoughts and feelings. I obviously didn't. I kept trying to include you, Pete. But yeah, obviously, I had a lot of thoughts. So. We're coming into the home stretch, so a couple of things I want to hit before. So next,
old manager is one of them, apparently.
My assistant, he was my assistant. You know, I wanted to fire him so many times. There was some, I did not want him to be my assistant manager. I was bullied into taking him as my assistant manager by that district manager. I did not want him as my assistant manager, but unfortunately, I took him on, and he has become my best friend. One of my best friends.
That's the thing that you can always at least take away from this whole GameStop.
Yeah.
Because you took away Jai.
Yeah, he's a good friend, but a bad employee. I still tell him that to this day. And yes, we know it was hard to hear Jai on the speakerphone because it's we have two different mics coming here trying to pick up everything.
And it's like the speakers from the studio we're in that's providing that. So that's the best we can do on Facebook. We don't have the audio
on Facebook. Yeah. So we are also so a couple of things I want to hit before we end this. We are also now streaming on Twitch. So I'm on Twitch right now with nobody watching, but this is kind of like to see if we can do it on air. So we are on Twitch, so that way people can who want to see this, who don't have Facebook, can watch it. And another thing I want, and a point that Miyoshi brought up on the Facebook feed, starting next week, I'm going to be broadcasting the show from a Facebook page. A separate Facebook page, not my personal Facebook page. So I'm gonna throughout the week I will be doing that annoying thing where I'm gonna ask everybody to like the Dre's Geek Philosophy podcast.
Yeah, that's the new page that we're gonna be broadcasting the show from, is the Dre's Geek Philosophy podcast page. Yeah,
there's gonna be a separate page so that way people can So now you guys it'll be easier for you guys to share this, because I know I noticed on the live feed Miyoshi was trying to share this video for other people to watch, and they could not watch it because unfortunately dating back to my Nintendo days, I still keep my Facebook page pretty private for only my friends. But that does not translate very well when you're trying to get new viewers.
Now we're trying to point people over to an actual page you can watch.
Yeah. So throughout the week, I'm gonna be annoying. I'm gonna constantly post about this page I've made. It's a Dre's Geek Philosophy podcast, and then also. For Twitch people, it's a Dre GP podcast. That's the online handle. I'm waving to nobody who's watching. But yeah, we're trying. We are rapidly trying to expand the medium at which I am throwing my face on the internet. And then also another new thing is that we may have the what I like to call Geek Gaming Thursdays, where I'm going to be on Twitch. That's another reason why we've set up the Twitch thing is I'll be gaming on Thursday nights, either with executive producer Sam Zia or gaming with Pete Malini. We picked up a Lego Dimension, so that's going to be probably one of the first games that we're going to be playing on the Geek Gaming Thursdays. Or we might also actually do table games, whatever we can do, and that's going to be something more for where we can interact with people on Facebook Live or on Twitch. Where this show is more like we're recording for audio and we're letting you chime in and join the show. That's why I can't really react too much to the Facebook Live. But so on Twitch at Dre GP Podcast. The Twitter handle for me is the same at Dre GP Podcast. On Facebook, and the Facebook page is also facebook.com/Dre GP Podcast. But I will be posting it for everyone. Sam, your Twitter handle.
At SamZ570, at SamZ570, and Dre's going to be responding to comments on Facebook as soon as we're done.
The Monday tradition now will be I will respond to your comments after the fact on my phone afterwards. And Pete Malini, your handle.
At nostalgic_comics.
Yeah, you can buy comics from him.
Yeah.
Help support the show.
Buy issues of the Green Llama.
The Green Llama.
There you go.
Sam's favorite character, the Green Llama. So,
freaking llama.
For my guests, Jai, who is on the phone, for my executive producer, Sam Zia, for my co-host, Pete Molina, this is Dre Cervantes. You have been listening/watching Dre's Geek Philosophy Podcast. Thank you for watching. I love you. We'll see you right here next week.